name for this. So there have been so many fantastical releases, and I just wanted to take a moment to talk about Rick and Morty season 9, episode 1. Okay, let's start this off with I'm always stuck between a rock and a hard place anytime I talk about Rick and Morty, because it feels as if it's this entity that is trying to reach back to what made it great without diverging too much from their source material, in the sense that, because it feels like they're constantly trying to rehash what made Rick and Morty fantastic and such a generational TV show, especially in the age when it seems like every other adult sitcom seems to be doing a very poorly adaptation as well as a spoof of what they specifically do. But I will say this: I'm excited for this new season because they are pulling out all the stops. Let's start us off with number 1. This first episode was beautiful, and it kind of reminds me of how it's so depressing as an Invincible fan watching every single animation go and drop a banger while Invincible is still stuck on clip arts. But I will say, it looked like they called upon the Mappa studio reps and said, let's work these Americans to the bone. It got to some parts where I'm like, okay, this feels very Marvel X, from the sense of there's these reference points to the part of the colorful nature, to the fact that there seems to be anime battling scenes right in the beginning, the middle, and the end. And as I'm watching, I'm just opening my, I'm just, it feels like it's giving me everything I need from a battle shonen. And the fact that this is only a 23-minute long TV show that's on Cartoon Network is fantastic. Do I ever sit back and think about Rick and Morty, the anime, and just realize that it could have been something so great, but then it ended up veering off to the left into the no man's land that we just do not talk about? But I will say, this was beautiful. From the stop motion to the color coding, the color grading, the fact that it seems like everything was flowing all together at once. Fantastic. The show starts off with Morty walking around. He's feeling a little big upon himself. He's feeling good. He feels the summer sun on the horizon. He feels as if everything is starting to turn up. He sees his mom. He sees the pops. He sees Beth. It's a great time. And he goes to say, what's up? Says, what's up to Rick? How's his favorite uncle doing? Or grandpa. How's his favorite grandpa doing? And he's been a little cagey. He got his phone in his pocket. He's seeming as if he was hiding something grandiose, but he don't want to tell not a soul. And then it turns out, Evil Morty, they be ticking and tacking. And it feels like, wait, hold on, take a step back. Honestly, watching Morty act like he's being cheated on, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And with the I like how Evil Morty is able to bring out the most in Rick, really push him to levels that we have not seen throughout this 9-season run, like even to get this started. So the reason being, Rick has been blackmailed for a little while now, so that's why they end up going on so many solo adventures, or in this case, duo adventures with Evil Morty and Rick. They chillin', they do some world-saving, universal, finite curve saving stuff. They go and they find a dude called the Collector. They gotta go and mess with him for a bit. And you could just watch as Morty is just getting more and more insecure. And you just see Rick be like, why are you annoying me with your... You shouldn't be insecure. He sucks. I don't like this guy. And as the comedy ensues, they get sent off, and Evil Morty, EM, for all sakes of purposes, he's like, oh, just so you know, he likes me more. And you know what? He's able to be himself more than when he's with you. And you know what? I'm even gonna allow you to partake in this nonsense that we got growing up. And Rick goes, while they're in the spaceship heading to this collector guy, basically think of Marvel's, or what's his name? Basically think of X-Men's like Galactus. He goes and eats worlds. That's the easiest way. He consumes and collects beyond the point. So as they're flying off, Rick is like, hey, wear this suit. Basically, it's a Morty-proofing suit, a suit of full defensive mechanisms because, hey, guess what? Rick is going to be busy and he's going to be focusing. So as he's focusing, as the battle ensues, watching Rick go full ninja, superhero, Captain America, this full battle sect throughout the first, 8 minutes of the episode, he is going crazy. They are throwing hands with each other. And honestly, watching watching regular Morty, he ends up getting kidnapped. Or not kidnapped, he ends up getting captured, and he gives up this terrible, and I mean terrible way with words, and so a whole bunch of wackiness ensues, and they battling. The collector guy goes and collects himself. If you want to figure out what happens, go watch the episode. It was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie to you. But beyond that point, they peel off. They go to this diner, and Evil Morty is still just pestering regular Morty, and you could see that it's starting to mess with him. He don't feel the best. And honestly, as I'm watching, I would have been upset too, because it feels like pulling on all the strings to try and piss you off. But hey, Rick goes and he leaves the situation because he needs to use the bathroom. Oh, guess what? Evil Morty has Rick by the leash. Everything he does, Evil Morty has to approve of all of it. It was ridiculous. They end up spinning off. Oh, just a little extra. Bro, they tell him about time travel. Evil Morty's like, you know what? Yo, grandpa, he showed me things that he would never show you. Rick is having this monumental speech of the fact that he finally beat Evil Morty. He went and took the basic reality eraser, basically, you know, the thing where you drop the person in it and it destroys not just the person but the person all over all time and space and yada yada yada. He goes and puts it in himself. We finally get rid of it. It's beautiful. It's bliss. Rick gets back to the house and he's like, hey, we going to bunker world. He goes and creates a whole dimension. That's just the craziest, the most well-equipped, most dangerous entities are down there. You got the bunker Gene. He's pulling up here with full AKs ready to battle. And he's like, hey, everybody, we need to lock in. We have bigger fishes to fry, and that fish is on its way. Everybody is scared. Everybody is shocked. And when Evil Morty finally pulls up, hands everywhere, magical hands. And there are some scenes where when Evil Morty was walking up, right, he starts teleporting. It feels like they put all their budget into these fight scenes, because what I tell you, they were crazy. They were absolutely insane. Oh, just for a little extra, there's, with the overarching theme of regular Morty feeling very small in comparison to Evil Morty, I find it interesting because of you watch as Evil Morty is getting deconstructed in the sense that he truly cares about what people think of him, and alongside that, he cares about what Rick specifically thinks of him. And honestly, I feel as if while Rick was waiting and biding his time, he always knew deep down, you are going to let your guard down in the most dangerous way possible, and I just got to wait my turn. And literally, that time is now out of the months that Evil Morty has been down this man's throat. He literally was just waiting and biding his time for him to start caring about regular Morty, because whole time he just wants to spend time with his grandpa. That's the only thing that's going down, bro. And as these fight scenes, right? Let me cut to some of these fight scenes. So the one way that you could the two weapons that Evil Morty was holding on to, right? He had this infinity beam that comes from his arm, and then he has the overarching shield that he always has on himself. But once he uses the beam, he can't use his shield. And they used that timing perfectly. And the only way they were able to actually get past his defenses is because of everybody, especially Morty, was chastising him and was on his head the whole episode. There was two scenes in the bunker battle that I found really cool. One, there's this scene where Rick and Evil Morty, they fight with each other, and it looks like they're having a Super Saiyan power up, but then it's actually like nanobots fighting each other. Fucking insane. Oh, and hold on, this clip too. And the way all of this finally ends is because of Evil Morty goes and he uses his time traveling magic at this point. All of this is just magic. I'm not taking any other lefts or rights about it. But bro goes and uses his time traveling. And then the time police pull up and then jump him. Evil Morty gets sentenced to prison and everybody gets to celebrate. And I find it funny that even as Evil Morty ends up losing, he goes and says, bro, you literally called the cops. That's how you won? That's how you want to be known as the winner? And then Rick's like, scoreboard. And I haven't heard anybody under the age of 35 use that. And honestly, we should bring that back. Scoreboard, especially from Family Guy. I will say this, I don't know where this season is going to go, but it seems like everybody just needs a vacation already. So I'm excited to see who we end up bringing onto the gang. But we'll see. We'll see. I think I'm gonna watch every episode this season. I think I really will. But all right, next topic. I got a chance to watch the Michael Jackson movie, and I'm just gonna run through some of these points real quick. Number one, I'm very glad Jafar was the person that was running. I'm very glad that Jafar was the person that was able to play Mike, because I feel like I might have just been tricked by AI social media, but I really thought it was going to be what's his face. You know those impersonators of Michael Jackson? The one Julio, I think his name. Beyond the point. I genuinely thought it was going to be him that was going to be playing Michael Jackson, and when I tell you deep in my heart, I was already angry. I was so mad. I might be just because personally, I feel like impersonators are one of the most frustrating individuals, because if they actually pull up and say, I'm going to sacrifice who I am and who I could have been for the act of being somebody else. And you know what? I'm going to walk up to their families and have people address me like I am the dead individual. That is insane. And honestly, this could just be me on my high horse, but I feel like the only way an impersonation actually works is if you look nothing, and I mean nothing like the person that you're trying to impersonate. Because of at what point does it feel like you're just stealing somebody's identity? But hey, that could just be me being a fantastical hater. But let's talk about the movie real quick. Early Mike, I do like, actually, yeah, let me start here. And let's talk about young Mike to start off the movie. So I like the way that they're able to highlight how, not just angelic, but objectively, this entity of Michael Jackson was just obscenely more talented than everybody else. And alongside that, I also I always knew this, but alongside the fact that that he never had like a child, Michael Jackson never had a childhood, because they have been treating this young boy the way that they've been treating him like a grown adult his whole life. Not only knowing that he was going to be this money pig, but also knowing that you will never live a regular life ever. It does not matter where you go, how you are, because guess what? That voice, I'ma need that voice. Bro, I'm watching as, what's his name? Who played Joe Jackson? Coleman Domingo. He hooped in ways I did not think he was going to hoop. The best part might have been Joe Jackson. I'm not going to lie to you. I am not going to lie to you. And I feel as if not that they should have emphasized more of the abuse, but I feel like we have left out so much of everything that was going on. But beyond the point, I feel like it kind of it changes the way that you're able to conceptualize Joe Jackson, especially when you have him as this like objective evil in this family. But I do like the plot point where he pulls up and he lets everybody know, hey, we have this gift, and this gift will get at least me out of Gary, Indiana, because nothing fun, nothing great, nothing enjoyable can come from this city. The true hatred for that area. And you know what? I get it. I understand. Especially watching as he was working night in, night out, day in, day out. When you do got a chance to leave this spot, I'm not looking back. And there's a scene where his wife, Michael Jackson's mom, was like, "Oh, don't push him so hard. They have school." And then Joe's like, "School ain't gonna get us out of nothing. Because if it was going to, we would have been out of here by now." Insane. I get it, but there's this obsession that Joe had with controlling everything throughout this movie, especially the literal existence of Mike, from the point of forming his musical talents, but actively feeling like he was responsible for that musical talent, and getting to the point where he started to feel not just intimidated, but just objectively small anytime Mike would be influenced by anybody else, especially the Motown Records individuals. And honestly, it made me feel good when bro was like, hey, we know what we doing. Just go and take a break. It felt very nice watching that scene. But I will say this. I'm not mad that nobody stepped in, but I feel like it's imperative to highlight the fact that that's how a lot of abusers are able to like move around untouched with nobody doing nothing, especially when you get to the point of like the narcissism that comes from quote unquote creating the talent in your backyard, because of I know he was taking full, and I mean full credit for Mike and the Jackson 5 actually blowing up and hitting so many crazy heights, especially the fact that they were charting the tops when bro was not even 10 years old. Insane. But then you flash forward a little bit when Mike is starting to become like a teenager, a little grown, a little bit of shoulders, but nothing too much, still high pitched, nothing too eccentric. And I will say this. He might have one of the craziest album rubs I've ever seen in my life. Might be one of the craziest stuff ever. But I will say, so once he ends up being grown in the movie, watching as he feels as if his tongue can touch the greatness, but he's not really fully embracing the greatness. That's something I will highlight, because it must suck, especially when you look around and you know that you're the greatest, but like having to still deal with this nonsense. And even fast forward in the movie, I feel like that feeling of being your own man, especially when you've never been, what's the word, boistered, or at least you haven't practiced the act of telling everybody to get out of my face. I feel as if that is more important while growing up than honestly anything else is, especially when you are trying to grow up, especially as a man. Because if there is nothing that you are willing to like put your foot down and be like, no, I'm not doing this, then there's no way that you're able to be, then there's no way that you're ever going to be able to really form a path for you to cross over into the person that you actually want to be in life. And not even to mention, the image of Joe Jackson throughout this whole movie it feels like it was everything that Michael hated, especially when it came to his own physical features. Like when he went and changed his nose, he was actively being like, you know what? I look way too much like my pops. And you know what? I also hate anything that is reminding me of my father. Let's just be really honest. And I feel like beyond the abuse, the abuse kind of like shaped the way that you're able to interact with other people. Because one thing I did not notice, the amount of animals that was in that man's house was insane. And the fact that nobody was like, hey, that's enough snakes for you. You don't need a giraffe. you don't need a giraffe. And it made me cry when bro was mentioning the fact, like, hey, these animals get me. These animals know I'm not. These animals don't know that I'm Michael Jackson. And that definitely hurts. That definitely hurts. You ever watch someone... And not even to mention, there's this sense of youth that was permeating throughout this whole film. Especially once he started dropping music. Like, I didn't realize how young he was in relative to, like, the greatness of the project that he was dropping. Especially album debut. He goes and drops Off the Wall. And when I tell you, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know how I or anybody is able to return back to regular life after dropping this type of project, especially with some of the all-time hits on this pop. And not to mention, while dropping this, and still being under your pop's thumb, and still not getting the respect for everything that you are bringing to the family. Because the whole project, actually not just the project, the whole estate that they're living on, from the fan mails to the animals to the huge backyard to the ginormous house, all through this man. And even as the movie would continue, you start hitting some of his other exploits and the parts of him trying to truly grow outside of the shell of being part of the Jackson 5. You start to notice, forget the Jackson 5. They only coming for this guy. From all the concerts to all of the shows that he's randomly showing up at, to the fact that he's still performing in Gary, Indiana. People are flying and moving only to see this guy. And I found it funny because one of the main plot points, it seemed like they were constantly trying to make sure that we still have the equity and the tool of Michael Jackson being able to tour and still being part of the Jackson 5, because every single turn that Joe would try and go to make some bread, they'd be like, hey, is the young one still on the shore? Is he still showing up? Because if he's not, you're not coming. I'm not booking nothing. I'm not setting nothing up. And you know, I can't even blame you. You ever try, man? And I can't even blame him, because you telling me I'm going to have to book the whole Jackson 5 and the fifth one, the main one, ain't gonna be showing. Coca-Cola not gonna back this. Pepsi not gonna back this. Ooh, but something I will say I admire. The consistency to, not even so much consistency, but there was this forceful nature to being mysterious that I feel like it would be impossible to recreate in this current age, especially while the average artist or even entertainer to begin with kind of has to be their own A&R and promoters and marketers and writers and performers, and still try and get themselves featured into the quote-unquote the biggest the biggest studios and musical ventures and things of that nature. They have to do. They have to wear so many hats that the most important aspect, the actual content or the music or whatever it is, the art, is being pushed to the back burner. And with Mike being like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, the only way you will see me if you come to my concert. I can't even lie to you. And watching as the myth would just grow as he would go on with his musical career, you got folks all over the planet trying to figure out if this is actually a real person or is this just an angel. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of why there will never be anybody as big or even close, because of the way that not only the way that we consume music, but more so the way that we consume actors and artists and just like the performer in general is different, because of the fact that I can't go on live right now, or I can't go on Instagram and find you on live trying to sell a course or trying to do honestly just begging for money. That's kind of like the change in art right now. But the fact that you have to go through so many hoops to try and find artists back then, where you actually have to put down hard cash to be able to attend and listen to the music and be able to actually be one with the artist. And now you got folks fainting, truly deifying this individual, this regular guy, this regular musician that you don't get today. I would clown anybody if they would faint just because Lil Baby or Drake if Lil Baby or Drake or Taylor Swift walk past the screen, because of it's. Let me rewind that. I've seen folks say Beyonce be outside. Mike Jack was not outside. You do not have artists actively making masks and different makeup routines and whole different costumes just to go outside, because guess what? They're actually not trying to be seen. Unlike today, when everyone is actively like, hey, I'm gonna call the paparazzi to let them know that I'm gonna be on Melrose at this time doing this and that, and they get the chance to get a picture. It'll be fantastic. This will be part of my album run. You do not see that like you did back then, or you see that today unlike back then. And not to mention, there's the corniness that we are afraid. It's not so much corny. There's a cringe culture that is very difficult to overcome when it comes to this day and age, when it comes to music, because guess what? Curating and talking and doing anything in general, anything that is being consumed for entertainment to begin with, all that shit corny. All that shit has to be corny for you to want people to actually engage with it. Because I could not imagine Bruno Mars pulling up to Compton to get Crips and Bloods to start dancing. That's not, I have never seen a uniting in this nature. But yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. I will say one of my favorite parts was during the Victory Tour. This is post Pepsi incident, when he ends up burning the top of his head, and he ends up going into a burn ward, and he just figures out, like, you know what? God put me on this planet to do one thing, and that's to bring joy and use my musical gift and talent to change the world. So he goes and does the Victory Tour. And when I tell you, I chuckled. I had a big laugh. He was inside. He was on that stage. He was throwing that hip. He went to grab that mic. Y'all never gonna see me with my brothers ever again. Better enjoy. Hilarious. But yeah, no. Great movie. Shouts out to AMC. It was very fun. Devil Wears Prada. So, The Devil Wears Prada is trying to say a couple things that I kind of take a step back to try and analyze to see if it's anything worth it. But I got a chance to watch The Devil Wears Prada a couple of weeks ago. It was fun. I liked how campy parts of it got, especially when you start reintroducing the old cast, but then you still have a lot of like these today internet celebrities having to be interjected into the story. I found it very interesting. Another thing. I will like to say, I like the commentary that it's making on the fashion landscape alongside its need to integrate into the content ideas, and how journalism has been taking a step back when it comes to the curation and creating things that are, I want to say, important, but having to having to figure out where to put the meat and potatoes when the world is kind of longing for the sweets, when they want that sweet treat, but you got to be able to actually feed the arts so it doesn't consume itself. Let me explain. So as the movie starts, there's been mass layoffs with so many different industries, and you start to recognize that the consolidation of everything is creating this world that is just, it is lacking the arts that makes life worth living. Remember Andy from the first movie? Yeah, she ends up quitting her job and she goes and she finds real journalism, because that was one of the main conflicts of interest that was going on with the first movie, where she felt as if this fashion editorial doesn't really count as real journalism. She wanted to do the real journalism, and guess what? She went and she did. And she was successful. One of one! She was even winning awards. And while she was accepting said award, tell her to go home. Let's just go ahead and just cut this whole industry down a peg. Yeah, we don't need you. We don't need you. We don't want you, because guess what? You are not creating money. Real journalism is not making us bread. So let's just go ahead and wrap this whole segment up, especially when you know there's nowhere for you to really go. So that's part one. Oh, not even to mention, she ends up going on a rant while she's accepting her award. She's going on this rant telling her you cannot destroy everything that makes this landscape what it is and still expect the reader to not get destroyed, and not expecting that this industry actually needs the meat and potatoes. And guess what? If you let this happen, you're gonna let it happen all over every industry. And it's a good speech, standing ovation. She's starting to trend on social media. It's a fantastic whoop-dee, hooray, fantastical, right? Let's cut to Miranda. She finds herself in a little bit of hot water, yeah, because they end up collaborating with some sweatshops and some people that they are not really supposed to be working with, and that kind of cooks the credibility, especially when she needs it more than ever, because she's about to get a promotion. That same promotion that they've been holding over her head. Yes, the same promotion that they've been holding over her head. And bingo bango, they need Andy's help. They hire Andy. Miranda doesn't hire Andy. It's not her husband or her ex-husband. I don't even remember. But beyond the point, they hire Andy to like change and give good credibility back and just like help with the overall vibe of the writing. And she comes. It's still getting beat over her head that it's like, you are not important to me. I find it a bit on the nose, but it's whatever. And as the movie goes on, I will say this: the actual fashion in this movie, it's not up to par, but I will say there was some parts that I really do admire and like. Yeah, it was very nice. But back to the random super celebrities that they just had on this episode, had on this movie. Randomly seeing Wisdom, fire. Randomly seeing Karl Anthony Towns, hilarious, because it's one of my favorite pastimes is looking at pictures where NBA players are standing next to like regular people and they just like engulf the screen. It's hilarious to me. As Andy gets put into a higher position, she's a senior something, kind of fake job, kind of real job, beyond the point. Her job is to fix this. So she goes and hits up Dior, some of her publishing people, see if they could patchwork this up. And it turns out it's Emily. Emily again. Emily, you. But she's one of them ones. I will say that. But that's beyond the point. Looking fantastic. Her whole thing is, it seems as her character is surrounded around this idea of being constantly cut at the knees, from the point of you will never get the chance to fail because nobody will believe in you in the first place. And it sets her up to be kind of a curmudgeon. I would say curmudgeon, but she seems kind of betrayed from everybody that's around her, right? To the point where she's saying, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to find my own route. And she ends up being, I think she's not the head of Dior. She's working with somewhere part of Dior. She's designing a lot of stuff, and she finally gets to have her own word heard. So fine, live your truth. But as the movie goes on, by the way, these are spoilers. So I feel like you should know that I should know that you should know. Beyond the point. As the movie progresses, you find out that she ends up marrying or dating this billionaire that ends up losing like a bunch of weight. He starts like, he looks great, he smells great, he's been changing up his life because he's one of those tech billionaires that want to live like forever, like he believes water is poison. I know, the worst of the worst. Beyond the point. And also he used to be dating this one lady, and basically he gets divorced. She gets half. She becomes rich, unbelievably rich. He goes, lives his own life. He's also even more rich, CEO, billionaire, beyond the point. And something I find interesting. So one of Andy's jobs, she now has to really write. So like she really sits back and has to write. But the thing that's like very interesting is she's actually really good at writing. She's always been really good at writing. And as the movie progresses, she's constantly getting like hit in the face to the fact that people do not care that you're really good at writing. Well, majority of people do not care that you're really good at writing because of the editorial landscape has turned into the social media of everywhere else, where you are trying to get a hold of the most common denominator while still trying to feed your fan base, while also trying to post stuff that are going to go viral, while doing all of that stuff while you still have to be on point and connective and have everything work together. And you know what? You wanted to talk about how the world is burning and things of that nature. Well, hey, you still need to talk about this new celebrity that's getting married. Yeah, hey, you better get on that one too. You know what? That is twice as important as all this stuff. Because guess what? We are watching as the analytics are dying. So fix it or you die too. I don't know what to tell you, baby. I don't know how you want me to fix it. And one of the things that happened, right? So Andy ends up finding the billionaire's ex-wife, and they finally get that interview. And that interview was fantastic. And the reason why that interview even happened in the first place was because of Andy was still focusing on the journalistic aspect of her job that she was still, like, she really respected. And I was like, you know what, that's fair. This is a good message. I like it. I'm not going to be mad at it. But as the movie continues, one of the big plots is one of the head editorial guys, like the person that owns all of it, he ends up dying. And his son takes over. And his son is a finance bro to the T. finance bro. Patagonia, sweater vest, khaki pants, on cloud shoes, like to the T. And I don't know what he knows about fashion, but it doesn't really seem like he cares to know much about fashion. You're telling me about Giorgio Virgiani, Versace, I'm telling you, stocks, bonds, we got to make as much money as possible. And you know what? We will. He goes and slashes everything. Every field, let's go ahead and cut that part. Oh, you're the editorial to this? Let's just make your budget a third of what it was, then we'll move on from there. Which, wild. And one thing I will say, them trying to make me feel bad for Miranda when one, I know you rich, is absolutely insane. They got to show out of Milan. And they're like, hey, no more personal drivers, no more first class. So now you gotta go sit back, you gotta go back and sit with me, and I should be feeling ready to cry for the fact that you are able to have the once wealth that you did. But honestly, it started making me remember fashion and just like the arts in general. It only works if people are getting paid obscene amount of money. Because when you look back, at cinema editorial, just like history in general, there used to be so much money in print magazines. It was insane. Like, you'd be able to shoot $100,000 shoots, and you know what? Scrap that shoot. Let's make a whole new one. Everybody flying private jets. Everybody having their own chauffeurs. It was fantastic. Everybody wearing the upteenth most clothing. Everybody looked great and fashionable and all that. But then the movie's having this moment where it's trying to explain. He was like, yeah, you have to know all that stuff has to be paid for. And all of it is expensive, especially since y'all are not making as much money as y'all once did in the good old days. And you know what? We gotta get that money back somehow. We gotta make that money back somehow. But fast forwarding. Oh, this Emily lady, she was upsetting my soul so much. I was trying my best not to yell at that television. So how they plan to save the firm, not the plant firm magazine company, beyond the point. They go, Emily goes and like, hey, Andy, we should give it to my hubby and have him buy it, and you'll be able to save everybody. Right? That works. Cool, perfect. And as they were going through all that stuff, right? Emily's big plan was to get him to fire her and then place Emily as the forefront head of the whole company. Have her be the fashionista that she always deserved to be. And the Miranda's like, you suck. You always sucked. You've never been good. You know you've never been good. And you know you are not able to work like I did. You suck. Why are you trying to lie to everybody when you know that you suck? Which was harsh, I will say. It was pretty harsh. But I will say it was kind of needed. I'm not going to hold you. I had a grand old time watching that. I don't know about y'all, but I had a hearty time laughing. Oh, so yeah, no, it was fun. But the way that they're able to, like, as the movie continues, there's some side plots going around. Like, Andy was going to write like a hit piece novel. Andy was trying to fall in love with like a real estate guy, which in sense was also doing the consolidate. There's a lot of like side stories that's going on. Like Andy, she was gonna write a hit piece on Miranda, saying how terrible she was. There was parts about who is his name? Stanley Tucci's character truly coming to terms with the fact that he actually wanted to be Miranda in the first place. There's Andy, I think she was trying to find love with like a real estate agent that was like also destroying the community, but like not really because it was already like kind of destroyed. So there's a lot of conversations that they're having with capitalism and consolidation and, you know, the downsizing of every single aspect in the economy. But beyond all that, the way that they're able to like actually save the magazine, they have the billionaire ex-wife pull up and say, you know what, hey, I'll pay for it. I got some bread. Let's make this work. Let's girl boss this into the future. I like the ending. It was fun. I felt nice. It was a good movie. But all right, y'all. Little quick video. There's gonna be a lot of videos coming out in the next month. There'll be so many videos. But we out.